Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a really profound conversation between a spiritual seeker and a master. We're going to get into some of the biggest questions we all have about our own minds, our actions, and how we can maybe find just a little more peace in this pretty chaotic world.
So let's kick things off with a question that, it gets right to the heart of the whole human experience. You've probably asked yourself this, right? In some moment of frustration or anxiety. It's a real plea for help coming directly from this seeker.
And there it is. This is the challenge, isn't it? That gap between knowing what we should do, just calm down, be present, and the tough reality of actually doing it. This one question really sets us off on a journey, following her path from a totally restless mind towards some real clarity.
Okay, so where do you even start? How do you begin to tackle this universal problem of all that mental noise? When your thoughts feel like a storm that you just can't control, what's the first step?
Now, the master's response is pretty fascinating. He doesn't just hand over a simple breathing exercise or a mantra to repeat. Nope. He suggests the key isn't to fight your mind at all. It's about changing your entire relationship with your thoughts by understanding what they really are. So he introduces this concept of afflictions. Think of these as those sticky, harmful thoughts and feelings. Like anger, jealousy, that nonstop worrying. He says that once you truly, deeply see the damage these things are doing in your life, you'll naturally just lose the desire to chase them. Calm isn't something you have to force. It's what's left over when you stop running after all that noise.
But to really get a handle on our thoughts, we can't just label them good or bad. The master says, no, we need a map. We need a map of the mind itself, almost like an internal GPS to help us navigate our own consciousness.
All right, let's dive into this because this idea of the 8 consciousnesses it's a game changer for self-understanding. It basically says that what we think of as our mind is actually this complex, multi-layered operating system. And the you that's doing all the thinking, that's just one part of a much, much bigger whole. The first 5 layers, they're pretty straightforward. Just think of them as your sensory inputs. You've got the consciousness that comes from your eyes seeing, your ears hearing, your nose smelling, your tongue tasting, and your body feeling touch. They're your direct windows to the world out there. Simple enough. Now, the 6th layer, this is where it gets really interesting, mostly because it's the one we're all so familiar with. It's that narrator in your head. It's the part that analyzes and worries and daydreams. This is the source of all that mental chatter the seeker was complaining about. But then you go one level deeper, and you hit the 7th consciousness. This is like our subconscious CEO. It's that stubborn, persistent sense of I, me, and mine. It's where our deepest habits, our attachments, and that core sense of who we are gets stored, and boy, do they get defended.
And holding it all up, the very foundation, is the 8th consciousness. People call it the storehouse. I want you to picture a vast cosmic hard drive that has recorded every single thought, word, and action you have ever made. And this isn't just about memory. It's the fertile soil from which all of our future experiences, what we call karma, is going to grow.
Well, this idea of a storehouse naturally leads us to the huge concept of karma. And once the seeker gets this, she has a brand new and, frankly, a pretty terrifying concern about what she's been saving to her own personal hard drive. Her worry is just so relatable, isn't it? She's thinking about all the promises she made in the heat of the moment, conflicting goals, actions she really regrets now. She gets that these aren't just forgotten moments. They are seeds that she planted in that 8th consciousness. And now, she's terrified of the harvest.
And this anxiety leads her to ask what is probably one of the most common questions anyone has about karma. Can't I just do enough good stuff to make up for the bad stuff I've done? Can I balance the cosmic scales?
But the master's answer is so direct, and it just shatters this really common hope. He basically says, nope, you can't offset a bad action with a good one. It's like you can't unplant a seed you've already put in the ground. Good deeds will create good results, and bad deeds will create bad results. They're in 2 totally separate buckets.
So what that means is there's no cosmic balance sheet where your good deeds erase your debts. According to this teaching, every single cause has its own effect. The universe doesn't forget. It's a fundamental law, just like gravity. So if you can't erase a bad deed, what in the world can you do? Well, the master offers one path forward: sincere repentance. And this isn't about just feeling guilty. No, it's a deep process. It's about acknowledging the harm you did, vowing to never, ever repeat it, and basically purifying that intention that's stored in your consciousness. It might not erase the action, but it can transform what happens next.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most practical lesson of all. The seeker shifts from these big cosmic laws to a really common everyday fear. She asks about that belief that, talking about our plans might somehow jinx them. This brings the whole conversation back to delusion versus actual practice.
The seeker is worried that whenever she shares good news or her plans, things go wrong. But the master, he just shuts that down immediately. He calls it what it is. Another delusion, another trick of that thinking mind that holds us back with a fear that has no basis in reality.
So instead of telling her to be quiet or superstitious, he offers this incredibly powerful, practical formula to get things done. He says, look, if you want to achieve something, you have to impress it on your consciousness over and over again. Read about it, then reread it, then write it down. You have to engrave it into your mind.
This just completely reframes the whole idea of success, right? It's not a game of luck, it's not about chance, it's not about avoiding some cosmic jinx. It's a matter of volume, it's a matter of dedication. The real question is, have you put in the reps? Have you repeated your intention enough times, with enough focus for it to become real? It's all about quantity.
And that really leaves us with a final thought to take away from this whole thing. If repetition is what creates reality, if what we say and think and do over and over again literally builds the world around us, then probably the most important question we could ever ask ourselves is this: what story about yourself, about your life, and about your goals are you choosing to repeat?